Within just 2 years, the Spanish defeated the Aztecs. The once powerful empire was destroyed on August 23, 1521. Their empire stretched across Mexico and Central America. They ruled over many people. When Hernan Cortés reached Mexico with a small army and great weapons, they allied with people who rebelled against Aztec rule. Together, they easily defeated the Aztecs, especially because of ineffective leadership and a spread of diseases. After Tenochtitlan was taken over, it became the city we now know as Mexico City, and Christianity flourished and spread there.
When Spanish ships landed in Mexico in 1519, the mighty Aztec Empire was at the height of its power. From their capital at Tenochtitlan, the Aztecs controlled much of what is now Mexico and Central America, ruling some 15 million people. Aztec palaces were as vast and sophisticated as any of those in Europe, and their temples rivaled the Egyptian pyramids. But within just 2 years, the mighty Aztec Empire crumbled, and Tenochtitlan lay in ruins after a brutal siege led by Spanish conquistador Hernan Cortés. No great ancient civilization ever fell so far, so fast. What happened to the Aztecs? For one thing, they had too many enemies. For years, the Aztecs used brutal force against neighboring tribes and city-states, forcing them to pay costly tributes and hand over victims for the human sacrifices central to the Aztec religion. Cortés turned these people's hatred of the Aztecs to his advantage. Spanish invaders also had superior weapons, plus guns, trained horses and dogs, and fully loaded warships that allowed them to overcome the Aztecs' greater numbers. Ineffective leadership also played a role in the fall of the Aztecs. Their emperor, Montezuma, believed Cortés might be the bearded Aztec god who was prophesied to conquer his people and bring universal peace. Unsure how to confront the Spanish leader, he was captured in 1520 and was later killed, possibly by his own people. His brother Cuitlahuac took over, leading an army that drove the Spaniards from Tenochtitlan. But the Aztecs then confronted another powerful enemy, smallpox. Brought aboard Spanish ships, the disease decimated the Aztec population, killing the new emperor and thousands of others. With the help of several thousand Indians, including Texcacans, Chalca, and Tepanec, Cortés and his Spanish force besieged Tenochtitlan, cutting off the city's water and food supplies. Despite a fierce resistance, the Aztec city fell on August 13, 1521. More than 200,000 people died in the struggle. With the Aztec Empire effectively destroyed, Cortés became governor and captain general of New Spain in 1522. Under Spanish rule, Mexico City rose from the ruins of Tenochtitlan, and Christianity spread throughout the region, replacing the temples and traditions of a once great ancient civilization.
After Hernan Cortés took over Mexico, other Europeans such as Pizarro wanted to gain land and wealth too. Pizarro heard about the wealth of the Incans and decided to conquer them. They were a really powerful empire. It took about 40 years for Pizarro and his men to completely conquer them. They had expanded their territory to about 600,000 square miles before the Spanish arrived, but the Spanish took over with superior weapons. The Incans were also suffering from illness and civil war. The Incans led revolts against Pizarro and his army, but failed. After many battles, the Spanish captured and held the Incan leader Atahualpa, who won the civil war, for ransom. The Incans paid the ransom, but he was killed anyway, and other Incans were killed too. They now controlled the Incan Empire. After settling rebellion, Pizarro was assassinated.
And in 1524, Huayna Capac was stricken by fever. Spanish conquistadors had arrived in the Caribbean some time before, bringing diseases to which the native peoples had no resistance. Millions died in the outbreak, including Huayna Capac and his designated heir. The vacant throne ignited a civil war between two of the surviving brothers, Atahualpa and Huasca, greatly weakening the empire. In 1532, after finally winning the Inca Civil War, Atahualpa and his army encountered the European invaders. Although greatly outnumbered, Francisco Pizarro and his small group of conquistadors stunned the king's much larger force with guns and horses. neither of which they had seen before. Atahualpa was taken captive and killed about a year later. The Spanish conquerors were awed by the capital of Cuzco. Pizarro described it as so beautiful that it would be remarkable even in Spain. Though the capital had fallen and the native population had been destroyed by civil war and disease, some Incas fell back to a new capital at Vilcabamba and resisted for the next 40 years. But by 1572, the Spaniards had destroyed all remaining resistance, along with much of the Incas' physical and cultural legacy. Thus, the great Inca Empire fell even faster than it had risen.